All right, so man, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right, so Stephanie Williams, kind of explain your background for us a little bit.
Background. Entrepreneur. I think entrepreneur at heart. Mother of four. Started my career many years ago. Just out of love for beauty and passion for it. Started my business about 11 years ago.
So where you from originally?
Raleigh, North Carolina. Born and raised, native.
All right, so my last maybe 5 or 6 interviews have all been people from North Carolina.
Oh wow.
Um, what's going on in North Carolina where you guys are bubbling right now?
North Carolina, and I can speak for Raleigh, but Raleigh is growing. It's growing a lot. I think we're trying to get on the map, like Atlanta and the bigger cities and stuff. So a lot of things are coming. They're talking about new ballpark that they're bringing to Raleigh too. So
Hmm. Now, my family, I am a military brat.
okay.
So a lot of my friends growing up were from the Fayetteville area and
Mhm.
Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
Um, how you familiar with that?
Yeah. I mean, Fayetteville's about an hour or so away. Not too familiar with it. My cousin went to Fayetteville State. That was a few years ago, but definitely know it's a military town.
Okay. So tell us about your company.
Yes. So, BrowZnAround Eyebrow Studio and Spa. It's a beauty studio. So, of course, we specialize in brow shaping, but all of my staff there are licensed estheticians. So, we are licensed in skincare. So, we do all facial and body waxing, we do eyelash enhancement, permanent makeup, the Nutrin, the microblading. Um, yeah, we have a product line, a brow product line.
Now, kind of explain esthetician because I see a lot of women, they were doing hair, and
Mm-hmm.
now I see a lot more estheticians popping up.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of explain that industry and the need for that.
Yeah, so estheticians are just solely skincare. So you can do different things with the skin, or maybe work with dermatologists. Um, of course, you can do the lashes and things outside of that too. So it's everything but the hair and the nails, and it's certainly a need for it. We all have. Well, some people have skin issues, which a lot of those people, that was the reason that brought them to that field, just having skin issues of their own. So, went to school for it to learn how to do theirs or how to care for theirs. So,
So is there a difference between, like with black folks and our skin
mm-hmm.
working with us versus, people of other races? How do you guys approach that?
Yeah. Everyone has different skin types. Um, you're taking me back to the skin types and stuff. Is a few different types, oily and dry and all that stuff. But there's definitely a difference with background as far as how you care for your skin. Just like anything else. But for the most part, anyone can have oily skin or they can have dry skin. There's products out there for that. There's products out there for more extreme stuff like acne and rosacea, different things like that.
All right. Now, speaking about eyebrows,
Mm-hmm.
what determines whether or not eyebrows look good or they don't?
I Let's see, look good or not. So brows make a big difference. To me, they're your total expression. So it can make a difference, good or bad, in how your look, finishes up. So a good brow shape, I always say, can open the eyes up a lot. It's like a mini facelift. So it's very important. It's probably not most thought about, probably the last thing that people think about, but it makes a big difference. So it's very important.
I, from a male perspective, I'd
Uh-huh.
say probably lashes would be the last thing that we,
Really?
and I'd like to get your perspective on it
Mm-hmm.
because I see a lot of women in there, putting long lashes on.
Yes.
And, a lot of times we'll say, we can't really I mean, we're not really paying attention to that,
Mm-hmm.
but I do notice that men who are around women who do that type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
they pick up on it more now because they have a woman who's constantly operating,
doing it,
working
yeah.
that. But the average guy doesn't really
Yeah.
notice. So what's great about a long eyelash?
I mean, we do any of those things to enhance our features. So brows, you want to do a nicer shape because it may help your makeup look better. You know, like I said, it can open your eyes. With the lashes, it can define your eye shape a little bit more. You know, you have almond shaped eyes, round eyes. So it just gives that enhancement and it makes it look good. But you're right, people don't, look, or guys don't look at those type of things. I have 3 boys. And now that, or when I started doing it, they have a mom that does brows, and they're like, "Mom, did you see her eyebrows?" They look at women all the time.
Right.
So if they didn't have a mom in that field, they probably wouldn't either.
So I see, so men, who are in the entertainment business, they may get their eyebrows done, and I remember growing up because I have unibrow.
Yes.
And it was a thing when I was growing up where people would talk about it, but I don't really hear much about it no more. I guess it's because it's not as thick as
Well,
Anthony
that's because
Davis
guys are
from the
getting their
basketball
brows
player.
done now.
Okay.
They're getting the unibrow taken off.
Right.
Like my son, 2 of my boys, they're 18 and 13, the oldest 2, and they get their middle done. So it definitely looks better. They call it guy grooming.
Okay.
The new Metro Man.
Gotcha.
That's a new thing.
As far as furthest that I went was the crisscross.
Oh yeah, the 2 little slits. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So so you worked with Anastasia Soares. How is that? Am I saying that right?
And Anastasia.
Okay. Okay. Now, what was that like?
Yeah, so I worked at one of her flagship stores. Her line is carried in the Nordstrom stores. So in North Carolina, in Durham, I worked at that location there. So it was great. I was already in the industry and already doing brows. So when I went there and worked for her, it just, kind of taught me new things. People would know with her style or method of doing brows, she uses stencils. So that was a new thing for me. But everything is a learning experience. So I learned things from her, took away with it, and that was actually the last person that I worked for before working for myself.
Okay. So when you're talking about brow restoration, what does that actually mean?
So restoration is, people can lose brows for any reason. It could be due to an illness. It could be due to just old age. People ask that all the time. Do brows grow back? If they're gone, if they're taken off, and over time they won't. You can stunt your hair growth to where it doesn't grow anymore. But restoring brows is restoring brows. So if you don't have that look, or if you don't have much hair, then that's what I can do. I can give you the brows semi-permanent with tinting, which will last a couple weeks. It darkens the brow, makes it look more defined. And then you have permanent makeup. So permanent makeup is like a tattoo process. And you can have that for several years.
Now, I've seen videos where it looks like people are implanting hairs, little small hairs. Now, what is that? Is that the same thing?
So it looks like they're hair, or does it look?
Yeah, they're holding little like tweezers maybe, and they're kind of putting the hair in.
So I think maybe are they doing that on the lashes?
Yes, you know what? I'm sorry. Yeah, I knew I saw that somewhere out, and they were putting them in.
Yeah, that's the guy thing. Yeah, brows, lashes, but yeah, those are lash extensions. Is what you call those. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So I say lash enhancements because there's also things that you can do for your natural lashes. You don't have to put on, an artificial lash. Okay. So
now I do know that microblading is it's brows. So explain what that is.
Yes. So microblading is one of the newer techniques, of permanent makeup. Okay. It is, opening the skin. It's inserted pigment into the skin. So it's an art of tattooing. But you hear that word blade. So you're using a blade to mimic hair strokes. also referred to as feathering. So it gives the look of natural hair in your brow.
All right, so now the past couple of years, women have been on the rise. A lot of women empowerment going on.
Yeah,
they're being
definitely
empowered in more ways than one. From the beauty industry side of things, being that it's always been a thing for women. Like, what would you say the difference between now and then, and maybe in the 90s? Because I do notice that the type of makeup and it seems like it's much different than it was. Like the women from the 90s look completely different than what they do now.
Absolutely. There's always new things coming out. I try to stay up on the trend, whatever that may be. I will travel and learn new techniques and bring it back to my staff. But I mean, styles definitely change, just like your clothes. Your makeup and stuff is going to change too. Back then, eyebrows, the thing was for them to be very thin, but thick brows are back in now. So the styles change. I think your makeup and stuff has gotten a lot bolder now with women, so they do more. They want it to stand out more.
Okay, so tell us about your product. Line brow powder.
So
explain that.
Yeah, so it's an eyebrow definer. So if you come to our studio in Raleigh, we do the brow waxing and shaping, but we also fill it in with that brow definer. So of course, when you leave out, it's great, right? It looks really good. Well, you can have that same look at home. You can buy the brow definer and fill it in at home and get that same look.
Okay, so you're operating out of a shop.
Yes. Yep. So I'm right in the heart of North Carolina, or Raleigh and Triangle Town Center Mall. That's where I've been. Like I said, I opened that about 11 years ago. So we're still growing.
Okay. Now another thing that's on the rise is, especially with Black people, is entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's hard for anybody. It's hard
Absolutely.
for all of us. And I think in certain ways it's much harder for women. Depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
What type of obstacles have you had to overcome? On your journey.
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, like you said, it is a hard thing. You have to, definitely stay strong and stay positive when doing it. First of all, I commend anyone that takes that step to go out and do it. So we are having a lot more entrepreneurs, which is great. Some of the things that I've had to do with, I think just kind of hearing, you're not going to hear positive things all the time. You're going to hear some negative things. So just pushing through that and not letting it discourage you. Still keeping, your eye on the prize. I really have found my passion in what I do. So as long as I keep that and stay positive.
Now, what do you do to, I guess, separate yourself from everyone else? Because along with entrepreneurship, it seems like there's only people see what works for others, and then they go that route. So same thing when they said men. Men, all of us wanted to be rappers or basketball players and things of that nature. Now it seems like with women, you have the same group of professions as well. So with those things becoming oversaturated, how do you kind of break through and stand out amongst the rest?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's also something that you have to keep on your mind. It's all about setting yourself aside from the next person. So, I think with Browz in itself, we always had this specialist in things that we did, right? We had a specialist for, hair or toes or whatever, but to have a specialist in eyebrows, that for one set it aside, because we would get that question even, well, what do you do different from the nail salon when they do my brows? So once you show them, though, they see that difference too. So I think you can set yourself aside by many things. Your service, even your attitude sometimes, the atmosphere. At our studio, it's a very relaxing, private, elegant studio. You have your esthetician there. So, they're not only doing your brows, but they could tell you things about skincare too, which is very different than, nail techs, something like that. But, just finding different things to set yourself aside.
All right. Now, aside from, health, or beauty rather, tell us about your not-for-profit.
Yes. So, my nonprofit organization, Browzing for a Cure. That began out of, the love. My kids. My kids are my inspiration for everything. But my oldest son is 18, and at the age of 8, he actually started having seizures. So he developed epilepsy, over the years. So with people just, dealing with some type of illness, your life can be turned upside down. I know ours were. So to be able to do something that can help someone feel themselves again, or, get that moment of happiness means a lot. So with the Browzing for a Cure, it's, we're browsing for a cure for anything. Not only the epilepsy, or, I do it for breast cancer and, anything where they could lose their hair. So the permanent makeup is really big for the foundation. But we do different things in the studio. Of course, every year in October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. November is actually Epilepsy Awareness Month. So we team up with different organizations and, have events and bring awareness and raise money for these things.
Okay, so when you're not in entrepreneur mode, because that takes up a lot of our time, being entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
How do you stay sane through all of this?
I don't know. Are entrepreneurs ever in a non-entrepreneur mode? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So if I find that little time, I guess, all my time is taken up by my kids. They definitely keep me on my toes. They keep me going in a lot of sports. If I had that moment of silence, maybe in my car, or, at night once they've gone to bed, I can, just read, kind of meditate and just try to clear my head.
All right. So, if people want to find you, social media, come to your shop, let us know where they can find you.
Absolutely. So we're definitely on Facebook and Instagram, BrowZnAround Eyebrow Studio. We have a website, that's BrowZnAround.com. And of course in Raleigh, North Carolina. So ever in the area, stop by. We welcome walk-ins. We welcome free consultations. So, come in anytime.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Much success to you.
Thank you so much. You also.
Thanks.
Thank you.